Yes.
I gotta learn that one.
Okay, okay. So, here we go.
Ha! Look
Ha.
at this.
Then you got the mug. I didn't know there was a mug, Marco. I don't.
Most people are inside working from home. The mug is just as essential.
You know how much tea I drink, dude? But this in the gym,
See?
what with my black and white Chuck Taylors on,
See?
adding
Got
that
lady
to the
tees.
cart. What? This is kids.
Hmm?
I want kids to know that DJs are essential. Ladies and gentlemen, Marco Rosario. How long have we been friends, dude?
Wow. I would say that. I always link back to obviously this one with where did we meet at New York, right? The gig, the one gig
So
in New York.
part of me thinks that we met here in Philly. I think the first one my mother and I attended was in West Philly. What was the venue? I want to say it was near 40th. Was it
The Blockley.
Is that what it was?
The Blockley was actually where I first met Dave.
So I think, oh wow, that okay. Whoa. So if that's when you first met Dave,
Mm-hmm.
prior to everything going,
Yeah.
then that would have been the first time I met you, and you weren't even on board yet. Like you were
No.
getting on board clearly that evening.
I was in the crowd that first time. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's get it together. So I have no idea what year that was. You
2000
probably had to be
2012.
21.
2012. Yeah. Going on 9 years here.
So the gentleman to my side has been such an amazing friend for almost a decade now. Blows
Time
my
flies.
mind. Time truly flies.
Wow.
And the reason that time has felt as though it's really flying between us and within this friendship is because every year for these last 9 years, I have seen you in a very specific setting. We have hung out in a very meaningful way, especially because you are indeed essential for my mental and the mental of so many other people. Because you have DJ'd the Prince and Michael Jackson experience throughout the tri-state area, up and down the East Coast, we have to give a shout out to DJ Dave Paul, who
Yes.
brought the party over from San Fran, hosted it in Philly, DJ'd it in Philly, and that's where the two of you met and connected. And
Yes.
the rest is history, dude.
Meeting Dave was like funny though because it was like he lives on Facebook as far as posting the advertisements and the promos for the events, and I had just seen like it popped up like as far as like it's coming to Philadelphia, it targets a specific audience. I happen to be in that audience, and so I just hit him up. I was like, yo, what's up? I'm a DJ as well. Kind of like on a curious tip as opposed to like what did the event what was the extent of the event, and he was just like, yeah, come on through, I'll put you on the guest list, and we'll go from there. To my I won't say my surprise because I didn't know
Right.
what to expect at the time, but what worked in my favor was that the event I think was like the last time he had an opening act before him, so there was actually like a local band playing before
Right.
he went on. So instead of being like a 4-hour event, I think they only gave him 3 hours, and they gave the local band like the first 45 minutes. So while he was there, I was like, I'm gonna just go over and I'll talk to him because he's really not
Right.
doing anything. Like he
Right.
has to sit back while the band's doing what they're doing. And so we just got to connect, and from there we picked up on each other's vibe as far as like, hey, okay, this is pretty cool. And so we kicked it from there, and then after the event, I figured hey, it was whatever. I'll catch you next time you come back around. Here he's like, listen, if you're ever in the
Next
California
time you
area,
come back around.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because it was a touring event. It's been for for a
Right.
while before me. But he's like, yo, if you're ever in the California area in San Fran, you come down, you guest host, and we'll kick it from there. And that's really what got the ball rolling.
You are both such beautiful people. Both of you have this light that shines from within you. It is very evident that your missions, each of you as DJs, it's clear that you are up there doing what you do for everyone else and not for yourself, not for your own personal gain. Mind you, is there personal gain and things that happen for you as collateral damage? Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
But you're so in tune with the people that are on that dance floor in front of you, below you, wherever it is. You make a concerted effort to connect with everyone that's involved. The work that you've done on social media, you have a community. This is not just a party.
Mm-hmm.
This is a community.
Mm-hmm.
And to that, I kind of want to speak to, I mean, again, going with the flow of this conversation, I have so many questions. We have to step away from what's easily seen on the surface, which is that you are an extremely talented DJ that is kind of the face of a community, whether it is the Prince and Michael Jackson community, the big 80s party community, the 90s party community, the Twitch community, the DJs Are Essential community. You're the face of all of those things.
Hey.
But this show is truly about digging beneath the surface. You know, if I Googled you, I'd see all that.
Mm-hmm.
But now wanting to know, don't say unfortunately, fortunately, where does this all begin? And I will be totally transparent with you and with anyone who will watch and listen. This will be our first time, aside from being extremely sleepy and like getting a ride home from New York after a Jackson party.
Right.
This is some of the longest and most intimate conversation that you and I, you know, will have had the opportunity to have.
Mm-hmm.
For that, I'm grateful, and it's long overdue.
Yes, definitely.
You know, there's been some distance between us, and you work extremely hard, and you're very passionate about everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And same goes for me. I work too hard on too many different things. So the fact that we have the time now to just sit and open a few boxes and see what's in them, I'm very excited for that.
Me too.
So if you could give me a rundown on the surface, a list of just, well, here are the things I do on the surface. Here are the things that I'm invested in. Here are the things that take up, you know, the majority of my time and the way I might organize my schedule on a week-by-week basis. Where are you, Marco?
I mean, my Instagram title kind of says that, but as far as like,
but there's more.
there is more. Like, yeah, as far as like the list, as far as you say, but as far as like what consists of that or what goes through that. First and foremost, I'm a father and a husband. Try to put that before everything. But in terms of where I am and what got me here, I am a DJ, a barber, a mental health professional. I dabble in acting and modeling. And everything else on the side, most importantly, I like to say I'm a smile enabler, in that I try to present and live by this Hallmark Contact Me motto of, I don't have jobs, I have joys. In that I try to embrace everything that comes with what I do. And the running joke as I was getting older, or trying to establish myself and find out what it is, or who I was, more importantly, as opposed to what I wanted to do, the running joke was always, man, you're always working. You got so many jobs. Like, you're always doing this, or you're trying this. And I felt like I just wanted to like dabble in everything and try and see, you know, what would stick. And luckily for myself, by design, the majority of things that I've done have stuck. And they've stayed with me. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had some of the tedious or the mundane 9-to-5 jobs, or the office jobs that weren't for me. But I had to see that, during my transitions, during my times, to see, hey, is this something I could stick with, or is this something I really want to stick my feet into? But DJing has always been there. That's first and foremost. DJing has always been there because it was first a hobby. It was just, a passion, a joy. Yeah. But it was a hobby. I was the kid in middle school, high school, aside from sports, I was the kid who raced home at 8 p.m. because I knew the top 8 at 8 countdown was coming on, and I knew the songs, or what they would be as far as the callers in who called in for it, and I wanted to be able to record them because I had to have these songs. I'm dating myself here, on cassette. And I had to have it because I wanted to line everything up. And I would try to listen to the DJs that weren't on like the format of DJs, as far as like your morning and afternoon shifts, but your special DJs, your Friday night DJs, your club DJs that would come in and do their special events, because I knew they were going to play something that wasn't in the rotation. You might catch that rare gem, and I was like, yeah, I got to get that and just record it. And the thing for me was to try to record over the DJ, right as they stop talking and the music starts, or the song starts, on the mark, as they say. So that was just something for me that always became part of my day, part of my process. And before actually wanting to be a DJ, I wanted to be a radio DJ, a disc jockey, if you will, because I love the science and I love the education that came with being a disc jockey. Not only were you playing records for your community, for your audience, you were taking them to school. You were giving them a shared experience, or some kind of memory, to where they could either relate to the music that was playing, whether it was an older song or a current song, but also give it to them in a way where it was like, wow, I didn't know this person
Right.
produced it or that person played, instruments on that song. And
Right.
you were always giving them a way to like listen to it or hear it differently, even though they've heard it so many times. And I always took that in from like, the DJs that I knew when I was coming up. I'm not going to give names because, again, I'll be dating myself.
Oh, I was totally about to ask.
I mean, there's tie-ins to it because, obviously growing up, being a child of the 80s, there was, the stations that we had, the Eagle 106 and 98.1, which is now Oldies 98, which makes me feel even older. But it was even my parents. My parents had the stations where we had AM radio. So it was like AM radio with the bad frequency and all. And it's like, but I was listening to all of that. Jocko, which is like synonymous with Philadelphia, and I ended up working with his son Doug Henderson at WDAS, which was like amazing to me.
Full circle for you. That's awesome.
So it was just great that Jerry Blavitt, the Geeter with the Heater, where if you know Philadelphia or the local area, the Geeter with the Heater. I ended up working with him. So again, all these things like actually started to work out in that way, and I thought I was going to go into the world of radio. Like that's what I ultimately wanted to do. I knew at a young age, high school, how you have to do like career day or the job placement stuff in high school. I knew I wanted to work in radio. I knew I wanted, more specifically, I wanted to be in New York City working in radio. That was the ultimate goal at the time. And obviously it didn't come out. It didn't pan out that way.
No. Hold up now, because that's exactly what my brain just, it did pan out. Come on. You can't tell me that you don't feel like you are walking along that path or some semblance of that path with what you're doing on Twitch. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Dude, what?
Yeah.
Radio has transformed into this crazy thing. It's not just radio anymore with the way technology has skyrocketed, for lack of a better term. And you have kept up. No. You haven't just kept up. You've kind of taken advantage.
I stayed the course.
Stayed the course.
Yeah. I mean, I always kept like, my ear, I guess you could say, to what radio was. And I chalk it up to timing in that, not that it was bad timing or good timing, just the timing in that at the time I went into radio. I was working, I worked in production and I worked, in promotions and everything like that. So I was a lot of behind the scenes. I never had like my own radio show on air, except for like an hour here and there that Jerry Blavitt would give me. But again, working with these people and working, with major stations, WDAS, Wired 96.5. I don't even know what it is now.
I was about to say, for you to have such a passion for radio, I'm not surprised that the numbers are all over the place. I can't imagine how many stations you have to remember.
I'm saying it now because like I don't even have 96.5 programmed on my radio. It's 95.7. Like I'm the older stuff. But again, this is the change in radio, the dynamic of what is like FM radio, and I learned that it's a very selfless business in that a lot of the DJs that you have in there now, to their credit, are in there because that's the desire they have. They want to be on air in that aspect. Some collecting a paycheck, but at the same time they know what they're doing, and that's that's their lane. That works for them. At the time when I was branching out into it, I kind of got cold feet and didn't really want to travel for it because you have to really like maybe start in a smaller market and work your way up.
Interesting.
Which I understand because that's with anything. With anything you want in this world, you're going to have to, build and build and build. And I got cold feet with it. I didn't want to go to Buffalo or Syracuse or anything at the time. I did audition out in San Diego when I went to visit my uncle one time, and it was the most humbling experience because here I went out there. I had my production reel ready, and I was just going to go on air in front of them, like my on air voice, and just present what I wanted to do. And at the time, I'm like, well, San Diego's the 16th highest market. Philadelphia's in the top 5 at the time. So it should work out, right? Like they'll take me. And I'm thinking like, I'm from Philadelphia, San Diego, should be no problem. I'll adjust. And the guy, to his credit, was very, very receptive to what I was trying to do. He knew it was my first like audition. He knew it was like my first go at this. Right. But he said, he's like, I admire your enthusiasm. I like that you have this little production reel. And he called it this little production reel. Being that it wasn't as, I saw that it wasn't as like professional or like, polished as it could have been, but I didn't have a lot under my belt. I just went with what I had.
Right.
And he said, what you did today was, it was courageous. He's like, but I want you to picture it as like a boxer stepping into his first fight with Mike Tyson. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm up for the challenge. He's like, exactly. You went for it, but you caught the right hook. And I'm like, yeah, okay. No. He was
Well,
honest.
dag.
Yeah, no, but he was honest. And this is the thing. Like, think of it like a job interview. Like, most times it's just, okay, thank you. Don't call us, we'll call you. Or, they're like, they don't give you much
Yeah.
in terms of what it is. But this man, to his credit, explained this to me and said what not to do going forward.
Yeah.
And then gave me a tour of his studio. I met their producers. I met the behind the
Awesome.
scenes guys and said, hey, listen, here's what you want to aim for. Stuff like this. Here's what you want to do. I hear it in your voice. I hear it in your cadence. You should work on that. And I
Wow.
went back. My uncle was in the car, and I was like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. But and it was humbling. It was humbling. And then I said that actually pushed me more. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go back and work on this, and I'm going to make this work. But when I got back to Philadelphia, it wasn't really there for me. I had to separate myself from the position I was with Jerry Blavitt. I wasn't really making any money at the time. I was maybe making $25 a day. I think it was like $25 like every 2 days or something like that for the
Wow.
day. Yeah, and I'm talking like 8-hour days. Like I would go in, 9 a.m. be done by 5, and he wasn't really paying much at all. He saw it more as like an apprentice type of job,
Right.
more of that old school mentality. And I'm like, I think I'm maybe 24 at the time. I'm like, I can't live on this like 25,
Yeah,
$50
no.
a week, bro. Like,
Wow.
so yeah, so I had to go take a desk job while also going to school to be a barber, because that was always something I just wanted to do. Like I was always good conversational, and it was just something like I was like the creative side of it, and
Right.
I decided to do that too. While working, I was like, I'm going to put radio on hold, and I'm going to finish up schooling. And radio wasn't on hold. I was always DJing too. Like I was playing
Yeah.
music and
Yeah.
doing that. So like that radio DJ lifestyle transitioned into the DJ, the hobbyist, more of as far as like working on the craft and blends and cuts and all that stuff like that. But also my music knowledge, because I was like, to me it's easy to play the top 40 or the songs that everybody knows. But it was also those songs that I was like, wow, I haven't heard that in a minute, or I never heard it with that.
Yeah.
Blended in with it
Yep.
and things like that.
Yep.
So trying to be like unique and creative in that way, but also staying true to who I was as far as like the music that I liked and putting it that way.
Yeah.
The challenge for me was not being able to talk as much, because again, I always like it to introduce a song or convey it in a way, to whereas the music was doing the talking through DJing.
Right. Right. And that's just a fraction of your journey.
That is, yeah.
A
yeah.
small fraction
A small
from what I
fraction.
understand.
I mean, again, it all does come full circle. It really does, in that, like, I think the pandemic had to happen
Oh,
for me.
yes.
Yeah, the pandemic had to happen. And we talked about this a little bit before, in that,
Yeah.
like, for the pandemic to happen and for me to discover Twitch, like, all of that has come around, not just with DJing, but with the radio side of me. I tell my wife all the time, like, I feel like I'm in 9th grade again. Like, this is like the 9th grader who was sitting by the tape deck, waiting for the
Wow.
music, and now I get to, convey it to this audience and talk about it and
That just made
theme
my heart
things out.
warm.
I get to have like themed out shows, and not only just from like the DJ and the music side,
Yeah.
my acting side. I get to put personality to that. I get to put character work into it as well. It's
You are shaping your own world.
yeah.
with
It's
all of
really
this.
really
You're no longer at the whim of overhead and clients and things of that nature. It's so fun because I love you so much, and it's like I have all these little bits and pieces about you. Like you said, it's interesting being able to relate to this concept of we do so many things.
Yeah.
We love so many things. We
Yeah.
love so many people, and because it is my mission to dive deeper, here are my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You being a smile enabler really stood out to me. You being a father and a husband first and foremost stood out to me. I will get there
Okay.
after I ask a little bit about your father and your parents. I just want to hear about your childhood in a way that could help us paint a picture. You just explained, some kid years, some high school years, leading into college years, leading into being a barber. What were you made up of already that helped kind of push you in those directions?
Childhood wise, I have two younger sisters. Well, during my childhood, I had two younger sisters. I didn't realize or know that I knew I had an older sister, but I didn't meet her until in my 20s. Um, so I was, at the time, in my childhood, the oldest of three, but the only boy. So it was a lot of pitting against the older brother. If someone in the house did it, it was Marco. But a lot of that was, I mean, sibling rivalries, as they say. But me as a child, I was very driven, sports oriented, but very, very like analytical. I was very, very like analytical and perceptive of things. I knew early on that I wasn't into certain vices. Like I knew, like I came from a family of smokers, both sides of my family, and I knew that wasn't for me. I knew I was, and I've never tried it. I've never even done anything, cigarettes, weed, any of that stuff. Like I've never done it, and I knew that at an early age. I never wanted to do that just because, again, of the perception and just seeing, it just turned me off. But then also the analytical side was, does this work for me? So music, I always turned to music. When I wasn't sure what I was feeling, I turned to music. When I wasn't sure how to process something or express it, turn to music. I was also but I was the guy. Like I was one of the better, if not top players on my sports teams every year. So I was always like usually one of the first or second picked, which I, looking back, I appreciate. At the time, I was probably a little more arrogant about it as a kid. Thanks, Dad. But that is what drove me, in that I wanted to be the best at everything I did. So whether it was baseball, basketball, whichever the sport, I wanted to be the best. I was competitive, highly competitive, almost to the point where it was detrimental because, I could say some things, or I could, kind of tarnish some things, and I don't want to say regretfully. I learned from them, but I also feel that, that's that part of me it has subsided, and I've learned from it. But as someone who was very outgoing and someone who was the life of the party, if you will, like very, very boisterous, very, a lot of personality, I like to be by myself. So there were times where, again, the analyzing a situation or a room, and I would just be like, no, I'm just stay over here.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that made it interesting for me because it was always, what's wrong? You're not yourself.
Wow.
Which made me feel as if I had to, in order to be me, I had to be on stage or performing.
Ooh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And I didn't realize that as a kid. I'm saying kid, like 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
So I would always fake it. I do this a lot too. I would always fake it, like, hey, I'm good, but I'm really not good. Like, I don't want to be here. I really don't want to be here at all. But I would just go through it, whether it was a family party or a friend's event or something like that, and just, whatever. But I learned that I wasn't one to follow a crowd or go and do the in thing. Again, as teenage years come in, the drinking and that kind of socializing, that wasn't for me. I was playing sports, again, at home, recording music, or literally playing record on the cassette player. So that was me, and I chalk a lot of that up to my parents in this way, in that they weren't overbearing. They weren't on top of me in terms of you have to do this and you have to do that. We had rules. There was discipline, and there was a set of rules that were laid out in the house and structure. But I come from a divorced family, so my parents separated when I was 6 years old. My dad's way of giving you advice or giving you his insight was like this. So he didn't really say much, and he didn't really have to. Like, I just felt like that was just where he was. My mom, a little different. She's, the Italian. She'll more chatty. My mom's, I always joke with my sisters in that my mom, we knew my mom was coming because my mom lived on the phone with like cousins or family and stuff like that. So we would be doing whatever in the background, and my mom could be doing whatever, but we have no idea what the conversation was until we heard, hold on a second. And then when we heard hold on, we knew the phone was going down and one of us kids was getting it. Somebody was scattering. So it was kind of like that. But my mom, to her credit, she did her thing. She did what she had to do, and we always had a roof over our head. We always had food in the fridge, and things were taken care of in that aspect.
Do you find that you wanted more from your father in terms of his input, the way he reacted to things?
Interesting. I wanted more from my father for my father.
Mm.
And I realized,
Wow.
yeah, because I realized that my teenage years, um, while growing up, my dad was always the person that I looked up to, like I aspired to be or I wanted to be, um, in terms of what being a man was. But then I hit my teenage years and I realized, um, Superman kind of lost his cape,
Mm.
and I dive into these things like on my Mental Health Monday on Twitch, especially like because I always try to provide like some insight from the mental health professional side, but I always feel it helps me too, because
Absolutely.
a lot of the things that I share, not so much from the professional side, but just from the personal side, I try to share to just maybe cleanse myself or even remind myself sometimes of what I've come from.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And I say that about my dad because um, my dad, he had aspirations to play Major League Baseball. He played minor league ball.
Yeah.
He had tryouts with various major league teams,
Yeah.
um, and then was drafted into the army. So his dreams or his goals were kind of derailed by going into the army. And then when he came out and did his years in the army, which he loved, he said he loved, but things took a change. Like he came out of the army and their house, their childhood home where they had grown up, was gone. Like the house was demolished, and down in 18th and Spring Garden, all that was everything's changed. So he immediately had to go into the work world. He worked. And keep in mind, his mother had passed when he was 14 years old. So he was more of the grow up fast mindset, and that he took care of
Wow.
his brothers, and he
Wow.
went right into things. So for him, going to the army was kind of a blessing in disguise to like get away from the everyday life that he was living aside from baseball. And he always thought, oh, when I get out, I'll do it, but it didn't work out that way.
Wow.
So he ended up working for the city for over 25 years. So he worked in sanitation for over 25 years, ultimately getting a CDL and driving a tractor trailer and
Mm.
doing the grunt work, as he would say. I love that saying. Like, that was his thing every day.
Gotta do
But
it.
yeah, and like I say, that when I was younger, that was dad. He would go to work and he would come home and he would go to work. But then my parents had separated, so I didn't really see a lot of that. 8, 9, 10 years old, I didn't see my dad on the day in and day out process. So when we'd see him on weekends and all, he was kind of winding down, because he wasn't working on
Right.
weekends.
Wow.
But I also realized that while he pushed me and motivated me to be a better baseball player, because that's all he knew, he never really gave me the tools in order to, embrace everyday life. And what I mean by that are sometimes we have those moments. What is this feeling? How do I overcome this? What do I do when this happens? And I'm not even talking like the financial aspects or how to
Right.
pay bills and those
No.
responsibilities. I'm talking
Yeah,
like from
just
the emotional
human.
standpoint of
Yeah.
like dad, like a boy or a man, adolescent feels this. What do we do? Mm, mm, mm. So a lot of his talk was more just on the surface. There wasn't really
Yeah.
much, kind of like think about it for yourself. I'm sure you'll make the right decision. You go
Yeah.
get it, son. Um, but then as he got older, he reached retirement, and I feel like my dad lost his purpose. Like there was really nothing there for him. Like obviously the baseball dream is gone. He's not working, so therefore he's living basically off of a pension, and he just would watch TV, yell at the TV, and go golfing. Golfing was his thing. He found a passion in golf, not so much a purpose, but just more of an escape. In that
Yes.
was his recreational activity.
Right.
Um, and I realized he was an entirely different person when golfing or doing leisure activities like golfing or even frisbee golf, which I didn't even know was a thing. Aside from being at home, so when he was at home, kind of moody,
Yeah.
depressed. Just every day was the same, as opposed to golfing and doing all these things that I actually would go golfing with him at times, like when our
Yeah.
schedules worked out, and he was so alive. Like he's literally at the time, 60 years old, golfing with gentlemen who are 70, 75, 80 years old,
Wow.
and these men are agile and they're laughing and they're kicking his ass, and like they're doing it, and I'm in awe because that's the guy I remembered, like that guy right there, that glimpse that I had, and it was like a complete metamorphosis when golf was done. We'd grab a bite to eat, and then we're back home, and it was just like, yeah. So a lot of the work that I do in terms of mental health is designed behind that, like, removing that mask, and like, again, wanting that. I want it so much better for my dad, and I always say, why don't you just, why don't you try this? Why don't you, why don't you give this a shot? Even with my my older sister, like, again, who I met in my 20s, like, I was the one who tried to bring that together. Like, I made the connection. I reached out to my aunt, and I was like, listen, I know I have a sister. I want to try to make this work. And with my dad, I was more about building bridges, whereas he was okay with burning them.
Right.
And it was, that's done. What's done is done. And he was just moving on from it. And I always felt, again, like from my teenage years, that there was a disconnect. Like, this man was slowly fading into obscurity, if you will. Like, he was just like, his better days were behind him. There were good days, but like, he was just content with just being. And I was like, come on, man. I'm getting older, 18, 20, 25, like, come on, like, let's do this or something. And it's not that I wanted better for, I expected better from him. For me, I expected better for him. Like, I wanted him to be, better for himself and his family. And he just didn't want that for himself, And ultimately, unfortunately, my dad passed in 2014. And I remember it was 2014. It was April 3rd, 2014. My dad sat us all down and let us know that he had cancer. And obviously the room, we all kind of like, wow, like, okay, we'll get through this together. And we worked as a family. So yeah, it was April 3rd. And I remember him saying he was not going to go through the process. He's like, I don't want to do, his way of saying it was, I'm doing this for you guys. Like, that was the way he put it, in that I'm doing this for you guys, in that I'm going to try. But I felt like it was the old college try. Like, I'm just going to go through the motions with everything else he was doing in life. But to his credit, he tried. Like, he tried. He went to the chemo sessions, and he went to the different doctors and the different rehab units and all. And from April 3rd to ultimately when he passed on October 9th, he gave it his all. But I remember that April 3rd. I remember that day specifically because he sat us all down, and he shared what he shared with us. But then I remember, we all after the talk, we all we're gathered in the living room and doing whatever. And he came over to me and he just put his arm on my shoulder, and he's like, "It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right." And I said, "I hope so. I hope you actually, I was telling him again, I hope you really give this, a good effort. Like, I really hope you try." And he just shakes his head. He's like, "You never stop trying, do you?" Like that. Yeah. And I'm like, I mean, I didn't really know what to say to that. I'm like, just, of course I'm never going to stop trying. So he just, and again, that was his words. He pats me on the shoulder, but as he's leaving, he goes to the back of the room, or, towards the door, and he turns, he goes, "When you do my eulogy, don't talk shit about me." So, okay. That's vintage. That was vintage. Jesus. Like, that made me laugh in a moment where I didn't want to laugh, but I was like, that's so fitting, and that's going in the eulogy.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm good. I appreciate that, because normally I would get emotional talking about this stuff. I normally do, but I feel good. I feel good in that, like, I've made peace with all of that, but also at the same time, it's, I miss him. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. 99.9% of what you just said resonated with me deeply. And if that's just me, then I can only imagine, some of the other people that will listen in and feel moved by that story. I think from your perspective, you shared a story that's a huge part of who you are. You shared the relationship that you had with your father and the way that he saw you on April 3rd. But it was so much more than just storytelling just now.
Yeah.
As a mental health professional, what can you say, what do you say to someone that feels as though it's too late? It's too late. It's too late. Why? Why do that? It's cool. It's too late. I'm here. Made it here. Too late. Not gonna waste my time, etc. What can you even...
I mean, that speaks to the experience of, like, my own family. I mean, I feel like everybody, not just from the mental health professional, but from the individual perspective, I've had those thoughts as far as maybe it's too late, or maybe that time has passed. I discussed that with radio. But I would also try to dive deeper and say, what are you afraid of? What have you failed at before? Mm-hmm. And it's not to be that blunt with them. I wouldn't just come out and say that. So okay, so you failed. What was it? Yeah, but we on the surface, I feel like when someone's saying it's too late, there's fear attached to that, or there's some kind of failure that they don't want to have that experience again, or their hopes or dreams or whatever blown up. But I would dive more into the fears and ask them, like, it's too late for what? Define exactly what it is you wanted, Like let me try to get in there with you. What exactly did you want, and what did you want from it? Was it financial gain? Is it too late because you're 40 years old and you had dreams to play professional sports? Well, that I understand because you're dealing with a different dynamic there. But when we're talking from an individual perspective, what is it too late for? Everything that you're asking for is in front of you. You have Google, you have YouTube, you have all of these resources. If you have Wi-Fi, you have all these resources in front of you that you can somehow, some way start. If you at least start or try.
Start anywhere.
Yeah. Then that too late could be, wow, I didn't realize this, And that's part of the fear, is that they see everything has to be working out in this perfect order, or else it's too late. I missed the boat, or I missed that opportunity.
If you could make a list of tools, tips, keys for walking in courage, walking in fearlessness, what does that list look like to you?
So as far as walking in courage, a lot of it comes back to mindfulness, being present, being, where am I? It's not so much what am I afraid of, what am I going after, what am I ready to accomplish? Whether it's, I'm just going to go out and accomplish this day, I'm going to seize the day. But being prepared for that, so my list would consist of going about it and making your bed. Get out of bed. Make your bed. Because that takes effort. It's not just getting up and just going about. No, make your bed. I'm not saying you have to tuck everything and be all precise. No, just get up and make your bed. Start there. Make your bed. And not because your wife told you to. But do that, and then go about it. But in that list, I would put, after making your bed and starting your day with purpose, because that's the effort right there, do one thing different. Because that takes courage. So if you're walking in courage, you're confident, you're sure, you're certain. But that's because you kind of know what's coming, right? It's like watching your favorite movie, or you're listening to your favorite song.
That comfort zone.
Yes. And a lot of people think courage is comfort, in that, I'm good here. They know me here. This is, I could do anything, right? But challenging yourself to do that one thing different, that takes courage, right? Taking a different route to work. Normally it takes me 15 to 18 minutes to get to work. If all the lights work out in my favor, I'll get there. Well, take the back road. Take a different route. Try something. Try one thing different. I don't eat Brussels sprouts. Try them today. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just do that one thing, because that in turn gets out of your head. It gets out of the thought process.
You're building the I can do this.
Yes.
Even though it's new, even though I've
not even I can do this.
Even though
I can try this. I can try this. But by doing it, it becomes habit forming after doing it after a while. But I can try this. I'm willing to attempt this. I'm making the effort, like making your bed. So that's where I would start with a checklist. Get out of bed with a purpose. Yeah. Making your bed. There's your effort. And I said that's simplifying it. That's a purpose. When I get up, I'm making my bed. Boom. You started your day with a purpose. Then from there, the ball's rolling. Go brush your teeth. Get yourself together. But do that one thing different. It doesn't have to be,
right.
Anything extraordinary.
Crazy.
Yeah. If you're someone who prefers order, or everything has to be organized, stop for an hour and just binge watch a show. Watch a couple episodes. But I can't because I gotta. No, just stop. That's one thing different. And that takes courage, because a lot of people can't get out of their own way.
Yes.
I.e., out of their own head.
Yes. What is the last thing that you stepped out and did different?
That I did differently? Got on Twitch.
Yes. Okay. Since then,
Yeah,
you've been
right.
on there for a while, killing it now.
Mm. I mean, and
But that's a great example.
that's a great example. I learned stocks, which there's really no there's nothing passionate or exciting about that. But
I
I
need to call
I
you
did
about that.
this. What's that?
I need to call you about that.
But it's interesting because yeah, especially now with this current news of Robinhood and GN or GameStop and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that as like, wow, like everybody's trying to get involved with the in thing or move
Yeah.
to the thing that's in the news or making the waves, and I'm like, interesting, because I was once there in that when the pandemic hit. And I said, okay, well, DJing is going to take a hit. Acting is going to take a hit. Pretty much everything that I do is going
Yeah.
to take a hit. How can I somehow? I'm not broke. I'm not hurting in that aspect. This is why we save. But I'm like, I'm going to have a lot of downtime. What am I going to do here?
Right.
So I decided to take it upon myself to dive into stocks and dive in that. Not I'm going $10,000. No, diving in that. I found something on Instagram. I found a guy on Instagram that talked about it, and you can just search. I searched
Yeah.
hashtag stocks, and
Yeah.
I found one that made sense for me in the way
Uh-huh.
it was explained and the way it was presented. And the way it was presented to me is the same way I would teach it. And I always feel that's the best way to get someone invested in something. I think there's two ways. You're either interested in something or you're invested. If you're interested, you'll listen. Like your TV shows. You'll watch the show because it's on. But are you invested? When that show is over, are you running to Google? Are you trying to find out more about those characters? Are you trying to find out more about the setting and why they came about? You're invested in this.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the same thing with the way stocks was presented to me. Sure, it sounds interesting. Yeah, I can maybe make money. I could lose money, but I'm invested in this. Is this something I want to dig into deeper and understand how these companies work and how I can make my money make money for me and all those things.
Yeah.
So the way it was presented, it was just like, look at things, everyday items around your house. Sneakers. I wear Nike. I'm a sneakerhead. Music, as far as like Apple, computers
Right.
and stuff like that. Everybody was in the house, so you're ordering things from Amazon. You're ordering things online. You're using PayPal. You're using Square. Whichever. As far as that, Facebook, because everybody was on the computer.
Right.
So you're looking at stocks that you use every day, everyday items that you would use. And something as simple as Cash App is where I started using stocks. Like, I would take $10 and just Netflix, Netflix is not a $10 stock, but, you can buy what's called fractional shares and just put $10 into Netflix. I like coffee, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks.
Right.
Instead of that $3 coffee or latte, here's 10 or $20 and I'll put it into the stock. Same thing with Nike. I put it into the stock and just things that I own. And what stocks has taught me is patience. Because the average person, who was it? Kanye. Having money's not everything, not having it is. So the average person who maybe doesn't have a lot of savings or a lot of money to work with is going to watch their money. Oh my God, I put $10 into the stock and I lost $2. Oh my God, I'm gonna go broke, and
Right.
like you're freaking out. But I learned that just let your work, let your efforts pay off. You looked into this stock, right? You researched it.
Right.
Sure, you own sneakers or you own an Apple computer, so that's why you did it. But a stock like Apple is not going to just go belly up, right? You're not going to lose it. So as many times as it goes down, it's going to go back up. And as many times as it goes down, it goes back up. And you look at things as far as saying, well, wow, during the pandemic, the average person, unemployed, lost income, they lost a lot. But these other people, they made a lot of money because
Right.
the average person doesn't live 9 to 5.
Right.
They're not living paycheck to paycheck. They're working on, they're making their money make money for them, passive income, making money in their sleep,
Wow.
and that's
Yeah.
things like you learn later on.
Right.
But in the intro stages, I was like, I got to be patient with this. I can't expect to be, rich overnight, and that's not even my expectations. And this comes back to also another thing on my checklist for courage, asking yourself what you want. What do you want? What is it you want out of this? So with stocks, what I wanted is to learn patience, to build a nice portfolio and say, this is something I can do. And it's been since March. I mean, I'm happy. I'm in the green. I'm not in the red. But that's the one thing that I've done differently, and that has become a routine part of my life. People look at me like, why you got this capitalist on here? But it's not even that.
No, I'm super excited because of the way we were able to tie it together. I mean, I was just thinking this, you read my mind. Practice what you preach. You know, I was very excited to hear from you. You know, yes, I hear you giving such valuable advice, and we're speaking about your father, and we've expanded that concept, and now it's like, well, you know, when you think it's too late, what are you fearing? How do we be courageous? But now, Marco Rosario, who's sitting next to me, I wanted to know how you know, have been courageous, and just wanted to really bring it back to putting the spotlight on how you feel, how you operate, how you've been living lately. So, ain't no capitalist. No, that's not what's happening here.
No, I always say with my wife, things will tend to work themselves out, and that's not saying without effort. You know, you got to put in the work. You got to you got to do
the grunt work.
The grunt work, yeah. And I tell the kids too, do the things you have to do so you can do the things you want to do, which means you got to put in the work. Yes, the grunt work, but at the same time, having that mindset that things will tend to work themselves out.
Yep.
And that you're putting yourself in a position to succeed. You're putting yourself in a position to move forward. Because even if things don't necessarily work themselves out in that particular situation, doesn't necessarily mean that's the end all be all. Like you can move forward from that or learn something from that to build on and move with it. So I always try to just stay in the moment where I'm at with things and staying present. Okay, what is this I'm feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Okay, I don't want to feel this way. So in order for things to work themselves out, I need to get myself together. I need to not be so anxious, not be so frustrated, if not for myself or for the kids. Like just, easy. Chill a little bit. And people are like, well, yeah, but I can't turn my brain off. Okay. You want an example? You want an example? Put yourself in rush hour traffic. All right? So you're coasting along. You're good. Boom. There's the traffic jam. How you feeling? Frustrated. Yeah, frustrated. Impatient. Yeah. Why do you keep starting and stopping? Why? Basically,
Can't
what you're
turn
saying
the car
is,
off. Can't turn the car off.
Basically, what you're saying is, why aren't things going at my pace? Why aren't things going at my leisure, if you will?
And life is like, hey, calm it down.
Yeah.
Slow it down.
But because things come to a stop or a halt, you're giving other things the opportunity to catch up. So those thoughts or those those ideas that you kind of put on the back burner, or the things you were kind of ignoring, here they come.
Or the things you were moving too fast to even realize were present and important.
Yeah. The things you overlooked. Yeah. But they're going to catch up to you. And I give the rush hour traffic example because you're kind of helpless. You can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You're in this, so it's now you have to confront it. And that's the same thing with being mindful. That's the same thing with being present. Allowing yourself to confront what it is you're feeling. Not what you're thinking, what it is you're feeling. Right. Because I think we have this conditioning or like this societal programming that like our thoughts kind of have to like have a stranglehold on our feelings. Like, I'm thinking this, so this thought has to match this feeling, and this is what it is, and this is and because I'm thinking this, then I have to feel that, and it's like, no, man, like, check in with the feelings, and then choose how you want to go about it. Right. If you're angry, be angry, but don't stay angry.
Logic versus emotion.
Yes.
And how they can work together as a team. They don't have to be pitted against one another.
Yeah. And I like to be animated about it, too, because a lot of times, I mean, that's just my personality, too, but I like to be animated about it, too, because I know people have felt that same thing. It's like, why am I so angry? Well, why do you just always want to be happy? Understand that you are angry, but you are happy, too. And both of those emotions come and go. You can't be 100% optimally happy all the time.
Right.
You can't.
Right.
Sure, you strive for it. What do you want to be? I want to be happy. Well, that's great, but what is happiness, bro? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And what has to happen logically and in a more concrete way to achieve that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned the children multiple times now. And I'm so glad you have been bringing them up because now, to what I wanted to say earlier, you are the smile enabler. It is clear that you have that talent, that skill. I just want to say I love this interview and I love you so much.
I love you back.
So happy to be here and just able to ask these super meaningful questions. Okay. Tell me about your 2 little ones. Your 3 little ones.
Hey.
One of them's not so little, guys. That's why I said that. I'm sorry. tell me about your littles. Tell me about the smiles that they have enabled for you.
Oh,
So
man.
I feel like I'd like 3 stories. I feel like I'd like, well, he did this, she did this. Okay. But then, let me not get ahead of myself. Let's stop there, and then I'll remember the next thing. Go.
Okay.
I'm
They are humbling. Put it that way. They are humbling in that, I think every parent can relate to this, in that you'll see a reflection or a resemblance in your kids at one point, and you'll ask your parents if you're able to, and say, "Did I do that?
Was I like that?
Yeah. Was that me? You're right. You know, was that me? You know,
Right.
or who was that? Is that
That was my wife, right?
Yeah, that was definitely hard. But no, like I think with my the littlest ones, not so little either, 14 and 12 now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, their personalities are funny to me because I see myself from the analytical point of view. Like, they are the ones that, like, think kids. Okay, the kids are usually just very, open or very, like, playful, or they'll approach you. Hey, how are you? What's your name? Like, think of your average kid.
Right.
Not my kids.
Not the average kids.
Not my kids.
In
No,
the
they'll
best
come into a
way.
room. I mean, they'll come into a room, if greeted, hello, how are you, and everything like that. But my kids are the ones that are just, they'll chill. They're by themselves, and whatever. I mean, if the cousins come along, they'll play and do whatever. But they keep to themselves. And I feel like the reason that they make me smile is I never have to worry about that. Like, I don't have to be the parent that says, when we go in the store, don't you embarrass me. Like, I don't have to worry
Well,
about that.
this is what I just thought. When you have a father who is a beautiful spirit and a mental health professional, you're being encouraged to be your authentic self 100% of the time. So I just went back to your story about, I was the guy that was on the up and up, and then God forbid I wanted to just chill, and everybody thought something was wrong. So now you have 2 children where no, my kids want to just chill today, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with them. They're in chill mode. They don't have to always be happy. They don't have to always be outgoing and bouncy. Like, this is beautiful. Okay, go ahead.
But that's also the challenge for me, because, like, even now, like with the snow days, or even like on weekends when they're no school or anything like that.
Yeah.
I feel more like the kid. Hey guys, let's go here, or let's do this, and they're like, no. Simplest things. Like, let's go to the park. No. Like, you want to go to the mall? We can walk around the mall. Why? like that to me is like, oh, come on, like, let's do
They're
something.
being so honest about what they do and don't
Yeah.
want.
Yeah, but and I always tell them that too, like, or anybody, like, but I tell them specifically, like, make sure, as you get older, you know what you want, but more importantly, what you don't want. And I'm learning from them all the time what they don't want. They just want to go about and do their things and all. So I mean, they make me smile in that way. Like, as far as this, just they are coming into their authenticity, and I like that. My daughter is not one to follow, like the TikTok stuff and Snapchat. Like, she doesn't even use any of that stuff. And I'm like, wait, you're on the cusp of being a teenager, and you like, no, I just. She'll watch, like, people's videos, but she's not she doesn't need to make one herself.
And learning it and all that insanity.
Yeah, like, she's not running to, like, make YouTube videos or any of that stuff. I mean, she's welcome to. Obviously with her dad, but
as a young actress.
Yeah, and she's done a couple commercials with me, so that's great. But
insert videos here.
Come on, wait! We gotta get out of here. I know!
Here it is.
What is it? You don't know? No.
You can't be down there.
Who?
There's no balloon.
Balloon for what?
For the party. Father, please tell us the important part of Easter.
Yes, Padre, enlighten us.
Oh, glad you asked. Would you like to know about the religious aspect?
No.
The family traditions?
No.
How about the springtime weather and all the beautiful flowers?
We're talking about the 50% off candy.
Oh yeah, let's go! All right, guys, it's Saturday.
Oh yeah.
The chores are all done.
Oh yeah.
The weather's looking lovely.
Oh yeah.
So we are on our way
Oh yeah.
to get an oil change.
Oh yeah.
Really?
No, really. Name one person you know who likes to get an oil change.
All right, that's a good point. But listen,
do the things you have to do so you can do the things you want to do, right?
Oh, yeah.
Good. So we have to get an oil change. What is it you want to do?
We have a list.
What?
Kicking our feet up while eating cheese. Gorilla hunting. Taking a long nap so we don't have to get an oil change with you. And sorting my laundry.
Wait, you already sorted your laundry.
Sorting his laundry. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
But the beauty of my son in that, he likes to do the editing for those. He'll tell me like, no, cut this part, or this should be a slide, and not, the camera should slide in, and I'm like, really, like that? Like
I did not know that, Marco.
Yeah, so he loves the behind the scenes stuff. He loves like the production, which I've done there. So I like that, but I always try to encourage him more to like, hey, let's go look into more production, or no. So
give it time. That sounds like 14.
Yeah.
And then what about Aunt?
And my oldest. So my oldest lives in Texas right now. Yeah, y'all. I got a 26-year-old. Or I'm sorry, I just turned 27. He's 27.
I know, right? Like you don't look 27. Yo, damn. So, but
right,
anyway.
yeah. I always joke with him because I always say with him,
How?
like we look like brothers.
You do though. It's insane. You always have. Oh man, the first time I met Aunt, I'll never forget. We'd be like, wait, that's whose son? What? When?
Mm-hmm. So no, he lives out in Texas now. Yeah, just started a life out there. He's kind of finding himself out there in Texas. So I allow him to do his thing.
And what are some times and some stories or ways that he's enabled your smile?
My man can dance.
Oh yes, he can.
Yeah.
Oh man,
my man can dance. He
the
can dance.
memories.
Yeah, I give him credit in that aspect, in that he used to do that with the I don't know if it was Snapchat or whatever. He used to make videos of himself just doing dancing and stuff. I'm like, look at this. Like, look at this.
Yo.
Like, and I would dance when I was younger, but like I was never like that invested in it as far as like wanting to be a dancer. I danced because we went to the club. I didn't like take it to that extent.
Yo,
my man,
knows
like
all the Michael Jackson choreo, guys.
Yes,
all
yes.
of it.
Yeah, and the MJ, I think the Chris Brown, he loves Timberlake and all that stuff. But no, I mean, he's made me smile in that aspect, in that he's picked up a lot of my personality traits.
And it's an avenue for loving music the way that you do. He is not a DJ or a singer or, a musician or anything like that. But the way that you can love music through dance and choreography and what you're learning to these compositions, like being in the same room as Aunt and Marco, your head spins. Your head, I mean, you already mentioned the similarities between the two of you, but just to this point of the love for music, the passion for music. Hearing and experiencing what Marco is doing on the turntables, the way that he's in tune with the energy of the room, the people in the room, what they want to hear next, what's going to keep them, feeling whatever they're feeling. Take me back. Wait, I wasn't ready for this conversation. Like right now, can we just go to Coda right now?
Let's go.
So take me anywhere.
Go to New York. Let's go.
Please. So.
But yo,
Marco,
no, to your credit though, like seriously, like not just Philly, like you've been to our parties.
DC.
Philly, DC, New York,
Philly.
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Like, yo.
Wait, I feel like there's more. Keep going. Did you do Baltimore?
Well, no, we did DC, not Baltimore.
Just DC. Okay, well, where else did you go?
No, but honestly, like, and I've never said this, like from my perspective, like you go as a music lover, a dancer, as a fan of the party. But from my perspective, like seeing the crowd, there's no better feeling than seeing a recognizable face or someone you connect with there.
Crying. They're crying.
Right. But
they're
again,
on the dance floor, like, man. Because of what you played.
In
I
multiple
really wasn't ready for this
cities.
conversation. Hold on. I really wasn't. I really was not ready. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
Gather. Come on back, show it.
9 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like,
Sugar agrees. Did you hear that? The dog agrees.
Like the multiple cities, like seriously, like that is like there's no other feeling like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so.
What? And that's one of my highlights. The DC one, the DC show where you led the electric slide, and I'm just like up there, and I'm like
Which
this with
has
Dave, I'm
happened
like,
multiple times.
Yes, but I'm
It
saying
has
the very
happened
first
multiple
time.
times, but that one, oh,
The very
yeah,
first
yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yes.
The whole
yes.
floor. Like, it was a lot of peeps that were
Yeah.
like, oh, where are we?
And I think that was, what was that, the Howard Theater. It was like one of the bigger layouts. But I remember
Okay,
that.
so
because,
wait. But there have been like 3 DC parties.
Yeah. Howard
So
Theater.
I'm trying to remember which one. When you say the DC one, for whatever reason, we are not going to turn this interview into this Prince MJ recap
Fine.
conversation, okay? I'm going to cut it off. I have to. But anyway.
But yeah, Howard has had multiple. Howard Theater. Oh, I'm sorry, DC.
It's
Howard
the one
Theater.
with the layers, right? That's the one that had the stage behind you guys, and then there were like a few different balconies and stuff.
Yeah, that was Howard Theater.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got
and
it.
that was the one. That was the moment where I was like, Dave, look at this, look at this.
That was a great party. A lot
Yes.
of professional dancers. You know who was at that party?
Luke James. I remember Luke James. We
I
opened.
didn't know that.
Yeah, because Luke James, he was the show before us, and then we were
Okay.
it was a late show, like at 10 p.m. So his show.
It was very late. I'll never forget.
Yeah, his show was before ours, and then we had come on because we were in the green room, and I'm like, Luke James just walks in the door. I'm like, oh hey, like, here I was in the mindset of like I'm about to be on the same stage as James Brown. Like James Brown been on the stage so many times, and then Luke James walks in. I'm like, oh hey, like yeah. It's
I'm really not ready for this conversation. But you know who was at that party that I did meet though, and she is just a phenomenal and bright and beautiful spirit as well. Maybe I could interview them. Maud Arnold, Maud and Chloe, the Tap sisters,
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
the choreographers and the heads of Syncopated Ladies. Dude,
Were they?
Maud, it was just Maud. Chloe was not there.
Okay.
But I'll never forget because I did not know that that's who she was. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you see what happens when I'm at these parties. She was like leaning up against the stage with a friend and she towers. I don't know how tall she is, but she's this tall, gorgeous person with hair bigger than mine. And she had
Yeah.
these big, beautiful glasses on. And I mean, I had no idea she was a tap dancer. She didn't bust out any tap moves while, Purple Rain was on or anything. But, anyway.
That's interesting.
Then there was the party with the stripper pole.
Whoa, what was that? In DC?
Yes. What's the party that feels like it's in a basement?
Songbird.
Yeah,
Songbird.
there we go. I was just infusing my own personal experience. We won't talk about what my aunt did on the pole that was in the center of that
Oh,
basement.
boy.
That was just my aunt being
boy.
crazy. But anyway.
Yeah.
And then, so we had Songbird, we had Howard, and then I was thinking of that dope waterfront venue where
Stage.
you had to go down the...
I
Man.
love that place.
I love the picture that I caught of you. Do you remember the picture where you
Yep.
guys were on like the marquee board and you were carrying your case? Where's
Looking
that
at the
picture?
sign, yeah. I love that.
You're so dope, dude. So, bringing this back,
Whew.
your head spins because Marco is so immeasurably passionate about what he's doing, and you can't miss it. You don't mistake it for anything else because he's literally the person that is commanding and controlling and regulating what's happening in the very room that you're standing in. That's you. And then if you look to the other side, you've got this kid that is dripping sweat, that is out of his clothes, dripping both sweat and tears. He's probably crying too. Is it sweat or tears on his face? You don't know because he just got finished doing every single count of choreography for like 5 Michael Jackson songs in a row.
Yeah.
You're just like, wait, what? Father, son, okay. Like, I give up. So shout out to Ant for enabling all the smiles as well.
Yes.
Shout out to your 2 littles for being so similar to you, for knowing exactly how to stand their ground, stand inside of themselves as they experience this crazy thing called life. Shout out to you for being such a phenomenal father and a great influence to all 3 of these folks, these little folks.
Thank you.
Powerful stuff. I want to give a major shout out to your Twitch family.
Hey.
To go full circle to kind of how we began this conversation, your passion for radio and disc jockeying, which I had no idea about, and that just gave so much more shape and color to the way that I know you, what I know of you, and how passionate and talented you are. Yes, I see what you did on Twitch, and you've gotten messages from me that are just like, dude, you're doing it. So happy for you, so excited for you. But now, knowing that you had that desire, that you auditioned for those things, now I'm seeing you on Twitch in a whole different light. You know, this is truly one of the things that you were setting out to do so long ago. The fact that you said to Ange, shout out to Ange, what up, wifey? But the fact that you said to Ange, like, I feel like I'm in high school again, that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. So I want to really give love and acknowledgement to the Twitch community. Keyword here, community. To your DJ Marco from Philly, family. Keyword here, family. You know, the people that you have made these very meaningful connections with, cultivated meaningful connections with, the people that see you for who you are and what you do and are so just loyal and supportive and loving towards you. I want you to speak on that. And I wanted to ask, again, this whole smile enabler thing. Here's what I've gathered from this interview. Giving yourself the title, the position, the responsibility to be a smile enabler, to enable smiles for others. I'm stuck in, where does Marco get his smiles from? Who enables them for him? You know? So I want to hear now about your Twitch family and some of the meaningful and special things that have happened between you and everyone that you've met and connected with on Twitch.
Man, who smile? Who was it? Who makes me smile? Who helps the person who helps everyone else? That's how I look at it. Yeah. I mean, I think with Twitch, I got started the same way a lot of other DJs did. It was just, you know, hey, what's this thing? Yeah. And I went into it the same way I go into everything else. What do I want out of this? What am I doing? Am I doing this for a financial gain? Am I doing this because I'm bored? Or am I doing this because it's another outlet? You know, it's something to do. Initially, I had no idea. I had no idea what I was doing. I did not know about like the technical stuff, the layouts, and you know, I had to contact Dave a couple times and other DJs that I know as far as like the audio stuff and the, you know, what's an audio interface? What do I do with this? And you know, all those things. But I realized that by being on there, again, my analytical side jumped out, but also my intuitive side, because I would see other DJs, and you have to, you watch others, you know, in terms of networking and, you know, listening to what they do. But I could see like little nuances as far as like their mannerisms or their body language and the way they carried and conducted themselves. And I'm like, they're only on here for personal gain. They're only on here. Personal gain, I mean like financially or, you know, whatever the case may be. But I wasn't really seeing like who they were, like who they are. And in turn, that stuff doesn't make me smile. So what makes me smile is authenticity, is being able to grasp and gravitate towards someone being genuine. And that took some time on Twitch. Because, again, you don't have that, the human interaction. It's more of like a, you know, whatever you call it, internet interaction. But I mean, you're giving what the person is presenting. And by presenting, you can be on stage. You can, you know, put up a certain front. And I liken that to when I was actually DJing at clubs, you know, or live events. People had no idea what was going through my mind or where, you know, what I had gone through that day. They were just there for that event. No one really cares about the DJ personally or emotionally. They just care that the music sounds good. But for me, I'm always looking at that. Like, your music may sound great. You know, you may make great technique, great blends, but I'm looking at your body language.
All of that. But it's like, who are you?
Yeah. And even in your interactions, you know, the way you're communicating with your audience and reaching out to these people. And some I was just like, this isn't for me. Some I gravitated towards. Caper is an amazing DJ who I've never even heard of. Or I'm not saying never heard of, but I never really.
Yeah, but just those new connections.
Yeah, and Caper, who is by way of, you know, the UK, but now lives in Brooklyn, world renowned, you know, big name DJ. And I connected with her through Twitch, and extensively through that, because like we've had conversations outside of just DJing, and I'm like, if this Twitch world or this pandemic never happened, this interaction never happens. And that's just one, to name a few, as far as like, you know, DJs I've reached out to. But for myself,
there's a lot more where that came from. Yeah,
I said the people that make me smile are the ones that I have a connection with. There's a DJ on there that's not on there anymore, my buddy John, who walked away from it. And I'm proud. I was upset at first because I was like, I feel like you're frustrated, you're giving up too easily. But I totally understand it. And that to him is him being genuine. If he can't do it in the way or the capacity that he wants to do it, then I'm not going to do it. You know, it's not there for me, and I'm not going to force it. And at first, for personal reasons or for selfish reasons, I was like, oh, come on, man, your music's really good, and I like your room. And it's like, you know, that's one less room for me now. But then I'm like, I see where he's coming from. And that makes me smile, because I check in with him, and he's like, I'm good. I found another outlet. I'm doing other things. I'm good. And that's great. The people that have stepped up for me, we have these things called mods. Like, my wife is a mod. Like, they moderate the room, and pretty much they're the security. You know, if you have like bots, they get rid of the bots, or they thank the people for you know, coming through and the follows and all that stuff like that. So they kind of like, you know, they man the room. My wife is one of those. I have several mods. There are many dope Philly DJs that I never knew of that I've connected with on here.
Wow.
Yeah, and that now that even when, you know, we get back into our regular swing of live events, I can network with them. Hey, I need a DJ for a Sweet 16. I got him. Hey, I need a wedding DJ on the same day I'm booked. I got him. So it's like there's that connection, and that makes me smile for the potential of what could be, not just so much in the moment of Twitch, but what lies ahead. So that's great. But also for myself, I decided that my Twitch channel, what I'm doing on there, while I am a DJ, while I am a mental health professional, while I'm also in acting, I haven't figured out how to cut hair on there yet, but but I felt I'm going to use all my tools. I'm going to put everything that I have and who I am into what I want to do. And that's the one thing I say to people all the time. I'm not interested in what you do. Right. I'm more intrigued by who you are. Yeah. Do you know who you are? And that's, if I'm going to, again, practice what I preach, that's what I do on my Twitch. In that the same person having this interview with you here and having this sit-down discussion is the same person you get on the street when we meet, the same person you would get at a live event, the same person you're going to get on Twitch. If I'm having a bad day, like I did last Monday, actually, on my mental health show, I actually said that. I actually said to the people, I didn't want to stream today. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be on camera. I don't feel like talking, but I'm doing it anyway. Because, not that it's an obligation, I want you to feel and see that
authenticity.
Yes, I'm being authentic. And that not every day is going to be a full-fledged presentation with bullet points and structure and layering to what I want to convey with mental health. This is mental health. There are bad days. There are good days. And by sharing that and expressing that, I snapped out of it. Normally, my streams are my mental health streams are about an hour, 90 minutes. That went on for 2 hours because I got wrapped up in the energy that everybody was giving me. Hey, you know what, Marco? That's okay. I appreciate you sharing that. Hey, Marco, I have days like that too. And we connected and we bonded. And that makes me smile because I'm like, why would I go on there and try to front and try to force it and then afterwards feel like crap because it didn't feel right? That wouldn't be authentic. That wouldn't be me.
No, but you being your authentic self reflected the opportunity for everyone else to then be very authentic, to be themselves with you. So you're creating this cyclone of vulnerability and transparency and beauty. And I'm not surprised that the friendships, the connections that you've made there were like, oh, you need us to be us by lifting you up. Okay, yeah, cool. We can do that, especially because we already love you so much, already appreciate you so much. Like, this is no thing but a chicken wing. What's up?
Yeah. And the beauty of that is that, again, it's not just local. Like, it's Twitch. This is all over the world, right? Like, I've had people in my room, aside from, like, California out west, like Germany, the UK, Brazil, Guam. Like, I've had people, hey, greetings from Guam. And I'm like, what? Like, what time is it there, number one? Like, it's like, those things are amazing to me is that, the connection, first and foremost, is music. They're coming into your page for the music or the ambiance, but they're staying because there's an attachment there. There's something that they're drawn to, whether it's my personality, my authenticity, my music, or even just the way I'm delivering it. Like, there's something there, and that's there's something they said about that because I think this is more unique in that it's live. Nothing I'm doing is there's no pre-mix. All the music I'm playing is live. All the conversation we're having is live. It's not something I can go back to and say, when you did that like 3 hours ago and I watched it back. That's entirely different. But don't get me wrong. Like, I do leave my mental health streams up there for people to go back and check out on their own time. And I had someone come in the other day and say, yo, that was my favorite one to date. Like, that was the best one by far. And I'm like, wait, like, I just interviewed Maya McLean, former, she used to dance with Prince. I've done topics on grief. I've done like all, and I'm like, the one where I was just in a shitty mood was your favorite one? Yeah.
Woo! It's deep.
Yeah.
That is deep.
Yeah.
And beautiful.
And I recognize the power in that. I do because, like I said, there are a lot of times, even for my past self, where I would just be like, I don't want to do it, so I'm not doing it.
That's what I was just about to say too. There's another example of courage.
Yes.
And stepping outside of the box and doing that thing that you don't truly want to do or that feels uncomfortable, et cetera, et cetera. Like, practicing what you preach.
Yeah. And it's not, and it wasn't even forcing myself. That's the thing a lot of people think too, in that when you're coming out of the comfort zone, you got to kind of force yourself to do things. And it's, like I say with the kids, do the things you have to do so you can do the things you want to do. That have to part sounds like a chore, right? I have to make my bed. I have to do the dishes. Right. I have to go to work. But if I say it in a way where I want to do it, I want to go to work. There's some gratitude in that. There's there's some purpose in that I want to. Or the gratitude part of I get to.
Yes.
stream for you people every day.
Yeah.
I don't say you people like that, but I get to stream for an audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I want to.
And another word that came to mind for me was recognition of the things that you're blessed with. Oh, I guess I have to go do the dishes. Okay, there are people without a roof over their head that don't have a sink to do dishes in, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah, being grateful for that. The fact that, you have the internet capacity to stream, or view it, and take it in. And I tell people too, as far as recognition, I tell people, I've kind of tried to like steer this one home in that recognizing your resiliency, recognizing the resilience in that, look how far you've come, in these past 10, 11 months with everything going on with the pandemic. Like, look where you were, in hindsight, look where you were, but look how far you've come. And if you want to, entertain it, look at the potential of what could be, so recognizing that resiliency in that, damn, how many months ago did you think like, wow, like I never thought I'd be here, or I couldn't imagine myself here, even like with Twitch, like I say, I never envisioned, if you were to ask me back on, what's today, February 4th of 2020, before the pandemic started, like, what would you be on Twitch this year? What? Like, that's for gamers.
What is that even?
Yeah, that's for people who play video games. That's what I thought it was.
Everybody, yeah.
And now here it's a way where I'm like, well, there's got to be a way to do virtual gigs. Like, instead of me flying to these cities, maybe they could just put my face on the screen and, I could just give them, we can plug into the audio. Yeah.
It's so true. It's so true. Is there anything specifically that within this conversation and on this platform, you're like, oh, I got to share this? Or, last thoughts. Is it something for you to, like you said, cleanse, that you just want to speak out? Knowing that my ears and my spirit are completely open to anything and everything that you want to share. Or is it something maybe for listeners and viewers and, something that you want to make sure the world, no matter how big or small the audience may be, the Mirage podcast world hears from you? And then I'll have a question.
Okay. I mean, I think we touched on a lot of the, like the points that I make in terms of, like I said, recognizing your resiliency, practicing what you preach, but being honest with yourself. I know a lot of people, in order to be vulnerable, in order to be, even ultimately become authentic, you got to be honest with yourself. And by that, I mean, you know what it is, like, what you're avoiding or what you're neglecting or what you're not prioritizing. Be honest with yourself and ask yourself, why? Why do I keep putting that off? Or why do I keep avoiding that? And when you can have that honest conversation with yourself, there's actually a game that I would suggest, and it works for relationships or even, as far as like, romantic relationships, friendships, everything. The Instagram tag is "We're Not Really Strangers." I just love the approach in that. Yes. In that, like, if you're honest with yourself and you're willing to be upfront with with the questions that are presented, or even the questions you have for yourself aside from the game. So good. Like that is another way to start stepping into your authenticity. Start tapping into being genuine. And a lot of times you overlook those things. I was talking. Who was I talking to about this? I think it was one of the DJs on Twitch, and they were just frustrated. They're like, well, my viewers, like I can't understand like the viewer count and why it goes from this to this. And it's like, why are you looking at that? Like, why does that matter? What is it you want from Twitch? But also understand that, like, the reason you're doing it is because you enjoy playing music, right? And they're like, yeah, but they want me to play this certain kind of music, and I want to play this. And I'm like, so play that. Yeah, but there's no but. Like, what you used to do back in the club or whenever, that was for a certain format or a certain, event. If you want to do this and this is what speaks to you, what you're doing is tapping into your authenticity. You're showing your genuine side. And I could see the light bulb go off on, and they were like, and it's like, it's things like that, going against the grain, getting, don't stop doing the things that you're so used to doing in that comfort zone, and just being honest with yourself and saying, what do I really want to do? And then go ahead and do that. Just go ahead and do it.
To that effect, your friend that was worried about the numbers and stuff like that, where did I hear this? Wow, I feel bad. I don't remember who shared this with me. Let's say you're at a party. Just you at a party. And there are 3 types of people, always. Dag, where did I get this from? In the world, 3 types of people. The people that see you for who you are and everything that you are and are absolutely in love with you. Oh my gosh, that's the person. Love everything about him, her, right? There are people that are just in the middle. Nah, I can do with her, I can do without her. Right? There are people that see you that absolutely do about you, just does not mesh with who they are, and they want nothing to do with you. Those three groups of people are at a party. The people that are like, I could stay, I could leave, I'm probably gonna go, are about to go. The people that can't stand you and hate the fact that you threw the party are like, are you kidding me? Why did you invite me here? I'm out. You spend energy, you expend energy trying to convince those people. No, I promise. People come back in the party. Look. Hey, no, I can appeal to you too. Come back in. The people that love you so much over the top. In the house, drink in hand, waiting for you to come in. Where the heck is he? Blah, blah, blah. Like, we're here because of how we love you. Come back. No, you're too busy expending energy trying to convince such and such and such and such that you are lovable, or that you shouldn't be judged and disliked and this, that, and the third. Like, painting that picture did a lot for my spirit.
Yeah.
So
Go where you're
just
celebrated,
in that
not where you're tolerated.
Yeah. And it's not even just being it's being celebrated, but it's also like, again, just turning inward.
Yeah.
Like you said, you know what it feels like when you are walking in your truest self.
Yeah.
You know how good that feels.
The conversations you have with yourself. Yeah.
Yes. And you also know how uncomfortable it can be when you have to step outside of that person to shapeshift and be something for someone else that doesn't necessarily mesh with who you truly are. Why are you choosing to expend that particular energy when you can go to that place where being yourself is the only option, and like you said, is the celebrated option? I just thought that was beautiful and powerful stuff. I appreciated the imagery.
Yeah. And a lot of times people don't even recognize that because they just see a number, like the viewer count or whatever the case may be, and they just want those numbers.
Right.
And it's like you're starting from scratch, really. Like, this isn't a live event where, you can ask Dave. I would do this. I look for pockets. Like, why are there pockets on the floor of empty? Like, are they at the bar? Is this a bad song? Like, you look for those things because of volume. You want everybody ultimately to have a good time, but understand that maybe they need a bathroom break, or maybe they did need a refill in their drink, or whichever the case. But we have no idea, on here. Again, I just see a number. I don't know if someone just, that number could be that they're there and they're not really there. They could be listening.
My issue is like my phone really just rings, and I'm just like, I'm trying to listen to Marco right now. Hello. Oh, you have something important. Okay. All right. That's my particular thing.
But it is, because it's like, that was a challenge for myself as well. And I said, what is it I want? So if I'm going to present my channel or my streams in a way that it's designed through my authenticity and through me being genuine, then I can't worry about if I have 2 or 10 or 20 people in there. Those people will come if I'm honest and true and genuine with what I'm presenting, because those people who are looking for authenticity, or the same way that I was looking for other streamers, I'm there. They will be there.
Yeah.
And then the old saying of your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what it's become. And I know when I stream, whether it's Mental Health Monday, I know who I can expect to be there or anticipate to be there. And the same thing with, if I do something on Thursday or Sunday, like whichever, like my audience is different because the themes are different, because my emotion and my feeling is different on those days. Right. And that's, my presentation is different, but it's all a semblance of who I am.
Amen.
You better be there tonight too.
Speaking of who you are, this evening, what time are you starting?
8 p.m. Eastern.
Yes. Okay.
Battle Thursday.
I will be there.
Did you know the lineup?
I don't. Tell me.
Luther Vandross versus Lionel
done.
Richie.
Finished.
Versus Teddy Pendergrass versus Charlie Wilson.
Luther.
Yeah.
You're like, some may disagree. Oh, that is good. Now I wish this was airing live, so like, people can just, okay. Well, I'll be going to post and share and make sure more folks know about that. Luther, come on. Okay.
Yeah.
Did I just get the most insane flashback of the time that I almost threw up from laughing so hard because your friend Ronnie, he's your friend when he almost makes me throw up, okay? Decided to rewrite and sing as though he was Luther Vandross in that commercial that was done some years ago. I can't deal with that, man. Ronnie, you are
man.
comical.
See, with Ronnie though, like, obviously, I mean, I love him. We do, as far as like who he is.
We all do.
Oh my gosh, but the unlimited amount of potential he has in terms of the creative side, and oh my
Yeah.
gosh, whether it's making the skits that he would make, obviously with the memes and
Everything.
the design, yeah, and it's just like, oh my gosh,
great.
dude, like, yeah,
Again, I'm not gonna burst into a fit of tears for the second time, maybe third time, but flashback to being at Adrian Theater, seeing him do improv and
Yeah.
being a part of those teams in Philly. There, I mean, gifted is an understatement.
yeah, and he's gone up to New York as well sometimes, and and I've said that to him, you should do more, but it's up to him, like he'll decide.
And then, of course, beneath that talent, this can't be the Mirage podcast. We can't just talk about the things on the surface when it comes to Ronnie. I mean, he's got the biggest and most compassionate heart, ever. He's a beautiful soul, and just love him and the heart that he has for others, putting a smile on other people's faces, making other people laugh, and being the best son. Seeing how family oriented he is. He's just a phenomenal person who probably needs to be on this podcast sometime soon. No, you're both just so incredible. I'm drowning in a feeling of gratitude and humility right now. I lived a life worth of just very low self-esteem and insecurity, and genuinely believing that there are so many things in life that I did not deserve. So I think about people like you, I think about people like Ronnie, and I'm just like, what? I deserve these friends?
What?
We're
Yes,
not
you
gonna
do.
it. We're not going
Yes,
to
you
do it.
do.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that for a very long time. I kind of believe that now, kind of.
Kind of.
But I did not know that for a long time. So very grateful for the two of you and for everything that you bring into the lives of those around you. You wrapped up one of your thoughts just a few minutes ago with who I am. And I was going to say, speaking of who you are. The Mirage podcast is here because of my grandfather, who was not my blood grandfather, but he played the role. He played it perfectly. Who, without force, showed me exactly who I was and allowed me to believe that who I am is okay, that who I am is beautiful, that who I am does not have to change. He showed me what growth would look like for someone that is like me. He related to me despite the difference in our age. He invested in me 500 million trillion %, and connected with me in a way that no other person in my life has done thus far. He holds that title. He is that person. Marco Rosario, thank you for being with us today. Can you please tell me who in your life has done that for you?
Ooh, I got chills. Damn it. It's not just one person. There's a number of people that have contributed to that. Obviously, my dad comes to mind first and foremost, in a way of showing me what it takes to be a man in terms of, building a family, but also in spite of the way he did it. And that's not in a negative. That is just in the motivation that I have for myself to say I'm going to continue what he wasn't able to do, given the circumstances and position he was in. So I feel that is pretty much the telltale, or as far as the blueprint, as far as who makes me who I am. My wife is challenging me daily. Not just with chores and errands around the house, but I mean in terms of like my own growth, because through her I'm able to reflect a lot. I mean, we're 8 years apart. We just had to figure this out because she forgot how old she was the other day. We're 8 years apart, so a lot of where she is now in life, I fall in love with her every day because of her growth and because of like the things that she's recognizing about herself and realizing about herself. And I also recognize the fact that we don't have to grow at the same time, like at the same pace. It's okay that, I've learned some things before she has, obviously because of age, and vice versa. We do those things, but we complement each other in such a way that it's like, the old saying, I love doing nothing with you. Like,
absolutely.
That to me, I had to learn that through her. Because as someone who always had to feel like they were on the go, or, organized chaos, if you will, like with her, I'm just like, I'm good. I love traveling with her now. Before, I wasn't much of a traveler. Every year, we set out to do something. I mean, aside from COVID, we set out to do something and travel somewhere new, like kind of throwing a dart at the map and just going. And it used to be like, again, having an itinerary and planning all these things out. And sure, you want to see certain destinations or landmarks, but a lot of times it's just, let's just go. We're together. We got each other. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And that has really shaped me into who I am in the most recent time, I guess, in the past decade or so. I keep a small circle, and I think a lot of that is based on family dynamic. So my family has kind of,
Yes.
not so much, not so much by force, but my family just by watching them and seeing how they have lived their lives. I've learned to discover who I am through them, vicariously through them, and that's a good thing, a good and bad thing, in that there's been distance, but there's also reason for that, and I think that's important because that has taught me who I am is that I can be strong in creating boundaries. I can be strong in deciding again what I want and more importantly what I don't want, and I think there's no one specific person for that answer. I can take things from you. I can take things from Ronnie. I've taken things from Dave. And I've not so much asked myself why are they like this. I usually ask myself, how did they impact me? Yeah, and I'll never say why do you do that? I don't think that's I mean, if you do something blatant, I'm gonna ask that. But it's like
Right.
in my relationships or in my experiences with people, I always ask how did that impact me? I was like I'm gonna give you a quick one for you. Minneapolis, more specifically Paisley Park. Dave and I had already done the tour, right? So we were finishing up. I believe our time was ahead of yours. And I've never done this with you. I've never done this. The tour had finished up, and you guys, I think, were reading one of the boards or something like that, one of the plaques or whatever. Anyway, what it was, a picture. And I came up and ran up and bear hugged you. I don't know if you remember that, but and it was just how you get the feeling of just I don't know if I should have done that. In today's day and age, I don't know if this was right. But then it was it
was fine.
I wanted to.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't forceful. It wasn't anything but it was just I wanted to. And I'm not usually one to do that.
Yeah.
But it was just a draw on, it was this spirit and just what I just went through visiting Paisley Park and that whole thing. It was just this person right here is going to know exactly what I'm feeling. And I just did it.
And that's exactly what I was about to say.
Yes.
It was this underlying understanding of this is what I just felt, and I know that she's about to feel the same thing. It was truly a testament of our friendship. To me, these moments where we get to step away from the mundane, even though that's not the word I want to use right now, we stepped away from Philadelphia. We stepped outside of, the party that we're so used to, the people that we are so used to, that we love and we are grateful for, to take our friendship out, further. That to me felt like it signified and solidified what feels like you feel like a brother to me, truly.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that's connected us as pseudo siblings has been music, has been Prince music, has been Michael Jackson music, has been Stevie Wonder music, has been music. So music took you to Minneapolis, and you knew that music took me to Minneapolis. And the fact that we got to meet in the middle there, that was definitely special and magical. Yeah. It warranted a nice big bear hug. It was a wonderful greeting. It was the best way to start, And now it's funny thinking back to that moment. Would that moment have been catapulted the same way without bear hug from my Prince bro, And now I'm about to step foot into his freaking house. Yeah.
And that was the thing too, because energy, feeling the energy. And I was should I have done that? But I never questioned it. I never asked you.
It's more so like you said, what impact was I leaving and how was I impacted by it? And then we have this conversation here and it's well, clearly this is the impact. Yeah.
And that's what I mean, speaking to who I am. And that was because of you and that I just what the energy I'm feeling and the emotion I'm feeling and how fulfilled I am after doing that was me to you. Yeah. And there was some reluctance on your part. There was some hesitance because I could see.
It was wait, that's never happened before.
But it was also the fact that you were, I think, just about to do the tour. So you were behind me. So you weren't able to have that feeling yet. So I was kind of transferring the energy, and I can tell getting it back. I was just she's not there yet.
There was a lot of sadness. There was a lot of sadness that was in my heart as well. But even just with that hug, that did feel like what you're about to experience is okay.
Yeah.
And that was very necessary too.
Yeah. Yeah. And usually it's not from a physical sense for me. Usually it's more verbal or, some kind of communication where I'm actually saying it's okay to be okay. But I felt the bear hug was, it fit.
It fit. It totally fit. Thank you for that.
Hey, thank you.
Appreciate you reminiscing on a special moment there. But yeah, so you can take things from everyone. You are truly blessed to be surrounded by the people that do help you and facilitate your growth and your understanding. I have to give a major shout out to Ange for just being your best friend in the way that she is. And then, it's so cool. You have these friends and family members. We adore you for so many reasons. And then to know that Ange is that Wonder Woman to your Superman, that's like, I'm the reason why he's so strong out here, Not to say that we're giving every single, who you are to her credit, but it's a lot. To be your wife and to impact you and love you the way that she does is a very big deal. And it's because of that love and that impact that you are now stepping out into the world feeling like you can be vulnerable and authentic. So.
And she's also the definition for me of like, in terms of a relationship, she allows me to be who I am. A lot of times people go into relationships and, again, they like, even with the job or whatever, they fall in love with the potential of what could be. Like they try to mold or shape it into what they want it to be or what they perceive it to be. Right. And, a lot of times you'll met with red flags or things where you're like, this isn't working, but no, it has to work. No, I can change them. No, I can, like, no. You have to allow it to be. And she defines that. She allows me to be who I am. She humbles me, doesn't always laugh at my jokes, which, I get upset with at times. But,
which, darn it.
Yeah, but I get it, because it's like she has that quirkiness to herself, and it works. I allow her to be. I'm never saying, like, why can't you just, like every relationship, we're going to have disagreements. We're going to have, things we don't see eye to eye on, but at the end of the day, or even throughout the day, I know that I can always rely and count on her. And I know that, I know who she is, and I'm loving who she's becoming.
Yes. And she feels the same about you.
Yep.
BEA, beautiful. I love it. And you guys are absolutely an inspiration.
Hey.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. This is great.
I just remembered, I really wanted to speak on acting. I wanted to have a conversation about auditioning, feelings through rejection, feelings through acceptance and whatnot, and tackling being an actor as well as a mental health professional, the intersection there. We can still have that conversation if you want, but I'm curious. Yeah, I didn't really intend on not speaking on your experience as an actor. It was the flow.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
My acting, again, it's a small part of this whole story. It's fairly new. It's in a transitional phase, obviously, with COVID. So it's always something I wanted to do. It ties back into my dad. So a lot of that stuff, with the reluctance of why I didn't pursue it early on, trying to please others. But it was always just me. It was, again, by being authentic and being genuine, I had to understand that this is a part of me, and playing a character or just expanding on my personality and just allowing that. It was always something I wanted to do. I was always drawn to theater and to dramas, and that kind of art, that artistic side. Always being the character, the life of the party, if you will. But also being able to channel that. And with acting, I understand that, a lot of rejection. There comes a lot of rejection. I wake up to rejection. Like, you'll get emails saying they chose someone else, or you just never hear back when you thought you'd hear back today. Like, that's rejection. And that has taught me that, again, recognize that resilience, recognize the fact that, okay, they went with someone else, so I'll get the next one, and not taking all of these things personally, because
Amen.
Yeah. One instance I had, you want to be humbled as an actor or actress? You want to go to an audition. This was in New York. Go to an audition. And I went up. It was literally the night before. I was told, my agent says, we need you up there, 10:30 a.m. audition up in New York City. Okay, fine, whatever. Make the trip. Now, mind you, Philly to New York, drove up, looking for parking, try to find what you're doing. Get to this audition, and it looks no bigger than like a studio apartment. like where you're auditioning. It's not some fancy studio or anything like that, or it looks like a studio apartment. Like you go into a door or a hallway, or you're basically sitting in a waiting area, which is like a hallway. There are 10 to 15 people who look exactly like you. There may be some hair, maybe a little shorter. Their beard may be in a little more, or something like that. And of those 10 to 15 people, I kind of laugh because this actually happened. 3 or 4 of them probably have on the same outfit as you, color patterns and everything like that. What do you do?
Wow, talk about humble.
Yeah.
What do you do, Marco?
What do you do?
What did you do?
Because I'm going up there thinking, wow, this is overnight. Like they must have saw my picture and reached out to my agent and they said I had to get up there and
Holy hell. What?
yeah. And you're in the mindset of like, okay, good. All I got to do is nail this audition and I'm going to get this. And it's fill out this form and wait over there. And they all kind of look like me. Like this complexion, hazel eyes, maybe lighter. I had on it was like a green button-down shirt and a pair of khakis. That's what they had called for, like, kind of like a business casual. So I wore a green button-down and some khakis. Dude over here had on a hunter green shirt and some tan, like a darker print khaki. Dude over here had on like a green but like a short sleeve and some like, and I'm like, am I before or after you? And like it's just wow. But again, going within and not so much analyzing the situation, but just feeling it and going, they want me for what I'm going to do in there, not so much what's here. That's the external. That's what they want. That's what their specs are, and that they want, ethnically ambiguous, certain height, certain weight, whatever, a certain look. But I have to go in there and perform. I have to go in there and give them what they're asking for. So do I know my lines? Did I do my due diligence? Am I preparing this in the way that they want? And that's all I can do is go in there and present it me. Wow. And that's what you get. You might get 2 minutes. You might go in, hi, Marco Rosario, turn, okay, and deliver, boom. Okay, thanks for coming. And that's it. That's literally it. As far as, your typical or standard audition, that's really it. So again, driving 90 minutes up, parking, all that stuff, going in there for literally 2 minutes, a minute. And then going 90 minutes back home with the thought of, did I kill it? How did I do? I wonder if they took the other guy that looked just like me. Or choosing, after I walk out that door, going, that's done.
Yes.
And that's what acting has taught me, in that do not personalize any of that. That's done.
Amen.
Yeah. No means next opportunity.
We're speaking specifically about an acting audition right now, but that can absolutely be applied to so many other, situations in life. Everything.
Yeah, everything.
That happened. I move forward. I'm resilient.
Mm-hmm.
There is more where that came from. There is more ahead of me to go, achieve, to walk into. That's powerful. And that was the perfect story to sum up my thoughts about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that also comes back to what you were saying earlier about no, I don't have any time, or the time has passed. Remember we were talking about that? Because if I was an actor or pursued acting early on, teenage years in my 20s, I would have burned out and been gone quick, because my ego would have took over. I would have been highly competitive, thinking like, how can they not take me? Oh yeah, and I would have burned so many bridges, or my dad pulled my inner Papo and just went about it in a way where it just it did not go well. Whereas I'm doing it now, a lot more clarity, a lot more understanding of who I am, what I want, and again, what I don't want. Yeah. Like there are some things that'll come along and I'll be like, I'm not auditioning for that. I don't want to put myself or portray myself in that light. That doesn't speak to me. And just saying no, having the opportunity and the ability to say no to certain things, as opposed to going, did they like me? Did they like me? Why did they like me? They better like me. No, I think the timing is now. The timing was perfect.
Right.
So instead of saying I don't have the time or that time has passed, no, the time is now, and this is what I'm doing with it. Because back then that would have been a pipe dream that went really quick, as opposed to now where I'm just being very, very patient with it and allowing it to come to me.
Beautiful. So inspirational, Marco Rosario. If you don't have Twitch, people, clearly this is a great reason why you should. And when you do get it, if you don't have it, then you need to check out DJ Marco from Philly.
It's free to sign up.
Dude, you bring so much to that platform. Like you said, something that we all thought was just for gamers.
Yeah.
for so many people has become, you know, a replacement for the live events that they're used to doing, a podcast home. I love that you have taken what was just DJing, you've turned it into an opportunity to perform. You know, you are multiple characters on certain days. It's become something interactive when it comes to Battle Thursdays. Y'all check in, tap in, please, because, you know, everyone in the chat gets to interact and vote on who's winning, who's losing, who's eliminated, this and that. And then also, like you said, Mental Health Mondays is something that Marco does, and those are deep, meaningful, intimate conversations just like this one here that are happening on Mondays, where he does just sit down and exhale and be, whether it's by yourself or with a guest. And you exude so much meaning. There's so much meaning behind everything that you do.
Thank you.
And we can all feel it, and we're all very grateful for it.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for your time. I feel like you are so much that I feel like I'm missing something. I'm like, wait.
You'll text me.
I just need to make sure everyone knows how multifaceted and incredible you are. Would you agree that right now the best way for a person to go experience and feel that from you would be twitch.tv/DJ Marco from Philly?
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram is an extension of Twitch. It's basically just like where I am now with everything. I streamlined everything to Twitch to do it that way because it's just it's the majority of my presence online, I guess you could say. So yeah, twitch.tv/DJ Marco from Philly. Instagram, same thing, DJ Marco from Philly. Yeah. At times I'll post my acting stuff, but again, like I said, because of COVID, I haven't been doing too much, but it's all there. But yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Okay. Thank you for being you.
Hey, thank you for being you as well.
It's clear. Do you see why DJs are essential for your mental?
Yes,
especially when they talk and act like this one right here, okay? Hey. Thank you for being essential to so many of us. I love you. Bear hug. Bear hug through the screen.
Take that.
Enjoy the rest of your day.